Alrighty, are we live? Are we live? Alright, Razer 4K, never mind. Alright, is my mic working? Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I guess we're live. Do I have something open? I can hear myself. Oh shit, I have this open, okay. Alrighty, good evening everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Mark, good evening, Mark. Great. I think I put the music way too. Let me know if music is too loud. I just came from the gym, showered and stuff. Give me 1 second. Just gonna drink my protein a bit and then we hack. Yeah, so basically I wanted to set up the Twitch chat in my VS Code. I failed. Generate Twitch token. Yeah, I really want to configure just so I can easier talk to you guys. Give me just 2 seconds, right? It's so annoying, man. I just want I want to be able to basically bot chat token, custom scope token. I just need a token so I can kind of chat to you guys also from VS Code and I can read the stuff there. I just figured I almost built sign up microservice. Good evening. User writes sends live stream chat message using send chat message API. Just give me 2 seconds and then we should be good to start. Quick link, generate token. Authorize. I just want to try it and set up this and I purposely am not sharing my screen because this token I unfortunately can't really share with you guys. Refresh token, yeah, it should be access token, right? So leave empty. Give me 2 seconds, I think I'm almost there. Access token, yeah, it's this one. Okay, let me just try one thing and then we start hacking away. Open settings, chat. Twitch chat. Thank you everybody for your follows. I just started streaming. It's I mean to the Twitch chat. Wait, Twitch. Okay, reload. Just gonna try sending a message from the chat from my VS Code now. Yeah, but I don't think that it's working. That's the problem. Yeah, I just sent a message, but I don't think it's appearing to you guys, is it? No, I actually don't think so. Refresh token client ID. What if I go to what if I actually check? Give me 1 second. Let me just check one thing. Let me just check my cookies or my local storage for Twitch. Is there some sort of token stored in the browser? Auth token. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Let me try that just for fun in VS Code and then we'll see. So if I reload. Yeah, I don't actually know why it doesn't work. Crap. Ah, come on, man. Use my client and secret client ID. Client ID. Well, I mean, you can go and check my LinkedIn. I think that's the best. I am 30. I'm almost 36. I might look younger. I'm not that young. I'm not old either. But I'm not young, right? All right, never mind. So let's forget about this. I'll figure it out maybe another time. But it would be cool if we localize our chat, right, to VS Code. Yeah, exactly, right. Okay, cool. Well, good evening again. I'm gonna close this, I suppose, and let's see where we start. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I try. I run 50 to 70 kilometers every week. I go to gym 3 times. I have a wife and kids, so that makes you look younger, I guess. Alrighty, so let's start somewhere, right? So last night we kind of started setting up the what was it? Postgres with the with PG with this operator, right? So what was it? PG. So that's what we started doing last night. Yeah, with cloud native PG, right? So we started basically deploying this cloud native operator as part of the Kubernetes. And let's just actually see what we have. So are all of our things up and running, all of the Raspberry Pis, they are, right? So if we take a look at the cluster, so everything seems fine. I guess hard drives are, let's open our Longhorn. What was it, 192, yeah. Let's take a look at our Longhorn. Everything looks fine here. We have all of the disks are mounted, nothing's down. Let's take a look at the logs. So event log, nothing here. Nodes, yeah, volumes are here, healthy. Okay, cool. So we're gonna continue with this, I suppose. Last night, let's take a look at the let's take a look at this. So physical child, yeah, this is something. Beginners Kubernetes commands list, no setting up. Yeah, so this is I think where we stopped last night, right? Yeah, exactly. I think so, right? And then we port forwarded, right? Something blah blah blah. Okay. Also, last night after the stream, actually, let me share the repository that we're using for this. So if we go to my profile, where is it? Here. Then we go to Kubernetes. So yes, this is what we are writing. So let's pin that maybe so people can kind of start it and follow along if they wish. So last night I've pushed these common commands that we're going to be using as part of the Kubernetes, right? So these are the ones I generated with OpenAI. And fundamentally, yeah, we need to memorize these. So before we can kind of say that we have moved from beginner level of Kubernetes, right? We need to kind of know, at least get most of these commands under our skin, right? So how do we work with pods, with services, with deployments, with persistent volumes? So you could say these are the basics and core of the Kubernetes. So I wouldn't actually say, yeah, they're like the basics, but then they're really the core of what you do most of the time, right? I mean, most of the time you're like, hey, I need some space, so I can then provision some pod, so then I can assign some space to that pod, and then blah 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 blah. Right? So it's kind of it's true, it's the basics, but it's also the core of everything, right? Is doing these things in Kubernetes, and then so these are kind of the commands we're gonna be. I'm gonna have this for myself over here. My friend group Discord YouTube channel. Is there a Discord page? I want to join you. If you're wondering, do we have a Discord? Yeah, we do. I don't know if I can type. Give me 1 second. Discord. Yeah, try this. I'm not sure if this still works, but try it. Actually, let me see if it works. If not, I'll update it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it does work. All right, let's continue. So basically, as I said last night, we've been doing this, I think. And How are we using? Well, MikroTik is, well, we haven't gotten to the point yet of really configuring. I mean, there's not going to be that much of MikroTik anywhere, right? So how are we using it? You can actually read that in the README that I wrote, but so far what we have in MikroTik, basically we have the interfaces, right? We have these 4 Raspberry Pis, right? So you can kind of see them here. So there's the router board RB3011 on the top, and these 4 Raspberry Pis are plugged into it. These are the interfaces. These are the Ethernet ports. These are the static IP addresses assigned to it, right? Of course, eventually, once this cluster is exposed using Ingress to the internet, to you guys, then we're going to have to set up the firewall. We're going to have to set up network address translation, NAT, right? So we're going to have to do the NAT here. We're going to have to do the mangle. We're going to have to set up some filtering rules, etc., 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 right? But that part really and fundamentally is really when you expose the service to the outside world, we're not there yet, right? So that's how, by the way. So there's a first part, which is, you know, telling your DHCP server, hey domain, hey dynamic host client protocol, do not reassign these IPs to my Raspberry Pis, just make them static. So that's really fundamentally what you do first when you're setting up the cluster. You define your LAN interfaces, your Ethernet on these Ethernet ports. You tell your DHCP to just lock on these IPs, right? And then later on, you can do a lot of other things, right? I mean, there's a lot of things we can do networking-wise, but it's not that we're going to be doing MikroTik every single day. These are usually one-time setups, maybe with the exception of the firewall, where we can kind of technically do a little bit more, but we're going to do that mostly on the Cloudflare side. So we're going to try to do most of the security part. A lot of security stuff is going to be done on Cloudflare, right? But that's also pretty far, several streams away from now, right? There is, of course, we need to learn Kubernetes first properly to some degree where we can feel confident and to say, all right, let's go now live. Let's put programmer network. Let's put our platform, right, that this stream is about. Let's put this now on this Raspberry Pi cluster, right? Nice. There you go. Well, exactly. So the idea is exactly that, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to ensure that this cluster eventually, we're going to make sure that this cluster eventually can only be accessed through the IP, to the Cloudflare IP ranges, right? So we're going to do that first because we're going to put this thing behind the Cloudflare. So we're going to use the Cloudflare CDN, Cloudflare firewall, and various other things, right? Yeah, and I have done that already for Programmer Network. For those of you who've been watching this stream for some time, this stream is generally about Programmer Network, right? About this platform. But yeah, now we're doing a little bit different content. Yeah, we'll get there one day in a couple of streams. You know, I'm not. Actually, fuck. Let me put this countdown on, because I can only stream for like 2 hours or something in general. I need to put my kid to sleep, and so I'm not just FYI for those of you who are new here, I'm not a typical streamer. I stream and then I don't stream for some time, so don't have high expectations. I do this when it's fun. All right, cool. Well, anyway, let's continue. So now we need to set up the cloud native. So we have set up this operator. We have created the namespace. We have applied the cloud native. So we have all of that running. Actually, what was so I need to memorize these commands. So what do we want to get? We want to get the namespace PostgreSDB, and we do that. We do have that. What was the other thing? So deployment. So this is, yeah. So keep in mind that this, as I always say, everything that I'm doing here, I would never suggest to anyone to do for the sake of building a product, right? So you don't want to, you most likely, so if I'm not doing this for the sake of releasing a product, just FYI, this is a purely an experiment to do the whole process end to end on a bare metal from networking layer to CDN and everything, right? So we're going to be doing everything that is going to run the production infrastructure. Like, we will expose this eventually to production. And yes, it's going to be from development to deployment, sure. But just I need to emphasize that these types of things you would never want to do, even in insanity, if you just want to build a product and ship fast and fail fast. So if we are building a startup together here, this would be a suicide, right? So just FYI, I'm not doing this for the sake of, because that would be ridiculous, right? I mean, we already have a Hetzner server that I pay 20 euros a month, and it's flawless, right? Things work. I mean, I have a very awesome infrastructure I built there. So this is not done for any sake of reality or anything that I would. So be careful to not misunderstand why we're doing this. So we're doing this so we can really have an excuse to do a lot of things from again, networking layer, machine and server layers and everything up to the actual user and the APIs and front ends and stuff like that, right? But fundamentally, programming network platform that I've built runs on Hetzner without Kubernetes, just using Docker Compose. And this is a different discussion. I can actually show you that if you want. So I can show you. I have done all of that. I'm not using. Yeah. I have done all of that. Yeah. So I have GitHub Actions and stuff. So everything is automated for programming network. Yes. But right now we're doing something different. So programmer network right now. So this is how the live platform that you can go and see looks like. So as you can see, programmer network right now. So we're not talking about the cluster. So I'm not talking right now about this. This is what we're going to be doing for some time in the streams. This is like a bare metal stuff. This stuff is running on Hetzner now. And as you can see, the only thing that's not running on Hetzner, there's two things not running on Hetzner. On my bare metal on Hetzner is the front end of programming networks. So this front end is hosted on Cloudflare Pages. So this app is hosted on Cloudflare Pages. And I'm using AppSmith for building dashboards, which actually has access to my database at Hetzner. So this is basically for those of you who are pragmatic and who are building products and working for startups, you never, even in insanity, want to spend time building internal dashboards because they have zero value to the customer, to the user. So what you generally do, you use AppSmith or Retool or products like this where you hook in your database, your BigQuery, your Postgres, your whatever, and then you build your dashboards such as how many users have signed up, whatever. You build products for your CS, for your sales, whatever. But fundamentally, the point being here is there's really just the Cloudflare Pages here and the actual AppSmith, which are not hosted here. The rest is hosted like we have Fastify API, Node.js. We have Nginx for SSL certificates. We have a bunch of other things. We have the whole Grafana and Prometheus. And so, for example, I don't know if I can go now to my Prometheus because I hide it behind the, let's take a look at that. Where's my, let's go to API logs. Yeah, so I need to whitelist myself, but we have, but either way, of course, this is, and if I wasn't just doing this for the sake of fun, I wouldn't even use Hetzner. I would then go to GCP or AWS, whatever. So again, they're very different realities depending what you're doing. I'm doing this after work for fun, this stream, so we are trying to learn some things here and do some more complex things. But fundamentally, just if you're ever building a product, you have limited funds, you want to ship fast, fail fast, never do this, any of this. Yeah, I mean, to be very frank with you, I believe that that's really why Kubernetes is something I want to learn. So keep in mind, I still suck at Kubernetes really hard, but I believe in a month or two from now, if I continue streaming and something more fun doesn't come along and I stop streaming, we're going to learn it well enough to be able to say, okay, well, we don't suck at Kubernetes anymore. And I think once we don't suck anymore, then we'll be able to do easy deployments, either in development, I think Kubernetes has this tilt dev I have no idea about it. I've researched it, but this seems to be a tool that improves the DX developer experience when it comes to Kubernetes. So please take this with a grain of salt. I haven't tried it. We will try it in one of the streams when we get there, but the plan is to take a look at this. Do you still think that 90% of cases shouldn't use, 99.9% of cases shouldn't use Kubernetes? So not 90%, 99.999% of companies shouldn't use Kubernetes. So that's never going to change. Just because we're doing Kubernetes now in these streams, I'm not going to suggest that you should be using it. Absolutely not. Like, there's 0.1% of companies on this planet that actually need Kubernetes because their infrastructure is so complex. They have servers in multiple regions that have to, etc., etc. Rest 99.9% of companies usually have 1 or 2 nodes of some API, etc., etc. So let's not deceive ourselves. Kubernetes is amazing solution for a very small segment of the market, and 99.9% companies are good with a simple Cloud Run instance on GCP or AWS or even Hetzner, right? Unfortunately, this industry, as always, is just mimicking what big players are doing. That's why people usually talk about performance and scalability and stuff, when in reality, 99% of developers never face any scalability issues because their issues lay somewhere very far away from scalability. So there's not a single developer in this chat now that said, oh man, I had to scale 3 million requests per second. But I'm very sure that there's shit tons of developers in this chat now who are failing to write a component. There's short circuits in your React component and the UI explodes, right? So you need to kind of, when you're building products, you need to focus on things which actually primitively fail and things which are easy. Scalability today, everybody talks about speed and stuff, but in reality, majority of people never really face this, right? So all of these streamers, all of these influencers, all of these YouTube influencers, they are just bullshitting you. You just keep, oh, fast, scalability. I mean, most developers never build a product that ever actually serves any users, let alone, right? No, absolutely. Localhost. I never said that Kubernetes is just for scalability. That's absolutely not. I agree with you. Nobody ever said that. The point is that Kubernetes is complex, right? Kubernetes. I mean, we're gonna learn some Kubernetes here, and it's gonna be great. But Kubernetes requires a dedicated person to operate, right? You need a DevOps team, and when you need DevOps team, that means you need $200,000, a year just paying salary. So fundamentally, that's not the point, right? If you need Kubernetes, you need Kubernetes. It's great, and it can do a lot of things, sure. But you're better off, even if you use Kubernetes, you're better off using GCP, like managed Kubernetes systems. Like this, what we are doing here, running a bare metal Kubernetes, that is very hard, right? It's not that the Kubernetes is hard. What's hard is everything around it, like networking security, API security, host level security. These things are so fundamentally complex that you need just 10 people in total to maintain all of this stuff. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're lying. It's like just maintaining your networking hardware so it doesn't get DDoSed, and if it does, that for you to have certain, right? And you get all of this stuff with these cloud providers, which are super expensive, sure, but then it's a simple math, right? Like, hey, yes, it's a simple math. How? Okay, we are paying GCP or AWS 5 times, let's say 10 times more expensive than, let's say, our bare metal solution that we could self-host. But then you say, well, yes, but how much are you paying the developers which are actually self-hosting that? And trust me, you're going to always pay them more. So people like underestimate, I mean, there's nothing more expensive than people, right? People are the most expensive resource. So when somebody on these streams or YouTube comments tell you, oh, this is sure expensive and I'm going to build it myself, what they actually mean is that they have a Hello World app at home, they don't have a job and they're broke and they can't afford shit. But here we're talking about real businesses. We're talking about operating businesses that make profit and generate money, right? And for those, this is not a discussion. No sane company, unless there's a specific reason, right? Bare metal, of course, has its benefits, right? You have products which really are all about security and privacy and stuff. So for example, maybe you're building a product where you're literally not allowed to host things on the cloud, right? Yes, then for example, when I worked at Technical University of Denmark at DTU, our whole supercomputer is hosted on the campus on the university, right? Because there are certain rules and regulations by law, by Danish law and European law, that we're not permitted to host it, in a different continent, right? So there's so many of these things, and it's not that simple. But fundamentally, I'm just talking, if you're building a product with forms and you want to make money and build a company, run away from bare metal. Run away from bare metal. Let's not be crazy here. Yeah. Anyway, okay, great. But let's do some stuff. Yeah. I'm talking too much. Okay, but this is in simple words. Yeah, not to get into detail. There's a bunch of details here. There's a bunch of files here. I'm not using any infrastructure as code tool, but as you can see, I have documented everything. So one of the most important things when you're doing infrastructure, and if you're not using something, some tool for infrastructure as code, document every single thing. If you make the most stupid change in some file on a host machine, put it down, write it down. Why? Because in 3 days you will forget that you've done it. And then you're screwed, right? So but if you're doing infrastructure, even if you just open a random file and write a note there, it's going to help you, right? So for programming network, I have documented everything. The scripts, shell scripts, my GitHub actions for deployment, whenever my cron jobs, for example, 4 times a day, I back up my database using rclone. So all of this is fully documented. And whenever because, sometimes I stream and work on this project, and then I don't know, recently I didn't stream for 3 months, but whenever I come back streaming, I open and what the hell did I do 3 months ago? Oh, this is what I've done. Okay, great, right? How did you like working on a university? I might get opportunity to work on university developer. It's bad salary, but I have to experience the tech, and I'm talking about... how did I enjoy it? Yeah, I mean, so unfortunately, you're right. Salaries, at least here in Denmark, of course, and I guess anywhere else, of course, public sector pays a little bit less than private sector, but of course, you get the benefit of, you get a little bit bored. So the pace of public sector is a lot slower. I also worked as a team lead at the DTU, so they gave me this huge ass office. I literally had my office for the first time in my life. It was so awkward. I literally had a badass office, and I then told my team, I'm sorry guys, I cannot sit there like I'm your boss. That's not my values. It looks ridiculous, right? It's like I'm in Japan and I have this big ass wooden table and I'm sitting there, come my servants, right? So I said, please never again close my doors because I feel like an asshole. As soon as you close my door from my office, I feel like an asshole. But I quit the DTU because I need a faster pace, right? I worked for startups my whole life and, wearing many hats, as we often say. So public sector was that was the problem. Whenever you want to affect change in public sector, in most cases you actually can't because there's 17 people you would have to go through and then 12 of them don't want to do it. Why would they do it? They've been there for 30 years. They like the status quo, right? So in that sense, I mean, it depends who you are. I guess what I'm trying to say, you have to now pick, is that positive or negative for you? For example, I have a wife and a kid, and maybe one day, hopefully, if I have another child or even more than one, and maybe, I don't know, I'm just sick of all of this shit. I've been doing this for too long already for my age. Maybe I would be like, yeah, let me go to bureaucratic place and just, enjoy the process, maybe. So the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to choose how much chaos in life you want at a given time. People need to understand that when you're young, you want chaos. When you're single, especially when you have no obligations. But once you get the kid and another kid and this and that, then you start looking at things a little bit different. Right now, I need time with my family. I need safety, blah, 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 right? So everything is relative depending to you, who you are, what your circumstances are and stuff. So if you're single, for example, if nobody depends on you, fuck salary, right? You don't have to chase money, chase experience, chase knowledge, chase different perspectives, right? But if you don't have that privilege to do that, then, well, yeah, then you have to chase money. That's how it is, right? Give me 1 second. Just go for it, man. I mean, like I always tell to my wife, she's always scared of applying for certain jobs. It's like, you have nothing to lose, man. If they accept you, if you have an offer, you can try for 3 days and quit, right? There's nothing you will lose, right? It's not that you're obliged by contract to join and then stay there for 3 years, right? Give it a shot. I mean, salary is not the only thing, right? It's compromise. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe I used wrong words. Maybe it's a compromise, right? Either way, right? Again, that's also depends how you look at it, right? But yeah, I mean, you could put it that way. I agree. Yeah. Then go for it. I mean, for example, let me tell you a story. I worked on a project. What was it? What was the name? Trygve project. I worked on this project as part of a DTU. I think it was called Trygve. So basically, when I was at DTU, we worked on this large-scale distributed system that connects university from Oslo. I remember flying to Finland a few times to Technical University of Finland. So we built this large-scale distributed network, infrastructure. So basically, when it comes to technical universities in the European Union, technical universities of European Union, they all collaborate together. And oftentimes you have, for example, these PhDs in chemistry, you have a teacher, you have a professor, PhD in University of Oslo, who wants to get the file from a professor from University of DTU from Denmark, and they have to do that somehow. But because of regulations, each specific country has its own regulations of how data is shared and stored and stuff. We have built, it's not that I have built it, I built 0.01%. These guys have been building this system for 5 years, and still they're always late. So we built that system where you have almost like a middleware type of server somewhere that kind of authorizes and a guy requires the access to the file of certain, or petabytes of files maybe even, right? Because these files are produced by these machines and robots and stuff. But either way, I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm sorry for my brain, is these projects are very fun and very complicated, right? So it's not that these projects that these public sectors are doing that they're like easy or boring. Absolutely not. Quite the opposite. It's just that you have to be fine with you know, for example, if I want to change something at my work tomorrow when I wake up and go to the office, I can do that almost instantly. I don't have to ask 17 people for permission. But if you want to affect change in that way at the university, you will not be able to, right? Because there is a huge process. So that is a, for me, fundamental difference, right? I would say just go for it, man. Just go for it. Just go for it, and don't worry. I would just go for it. All right, cool. Well, that's great. Yeah, that is yeah. I don't know. It makes it easier for me, you know. I work as a tech lead at my company, so maybe, and I've been there almost for 4 years now, so maybe that's a slight difference, right? But either way, yeah, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. All right. You know, it comes with time. It comes with time, and as you build up your skills and gain more experience, the authority that you impose implicitly is just more apparent to people, right? more experience you have and more eloquent you become, more authority you radiate with naturally, right? So that's what I've seen with myself when I'm in a meeting with my CTO, with anybody really. It's like when people kind of start respecting you and they see that you know what you're talking about, then that respect is not like direct, that somebody comes and says, oh, I respect you. But so these things are built over time, right? So affecting change takes time, but once you kind of start radiating with these once people start kind of seeing that, then it gets easier and easier, right? So just give it time. Okay, so let's see what we've done here. Did we have port forward here? Yeah, okay. So I think last night did I stream last night? I did, right? Yeah, exactly, I did. So last night we got to the point of port forwarding this, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So that's how far we got. I don't know actually why this robot adds these indentations like this. But we need to continue here now. So we need to create a service, or we need to check if the service for this thing is actually created. And then, yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry, we had a lot of chat and a lot of comments, but that's sometimes fine, I suppose. It doesn't matter, Tronic, right? It doesn't matter. Take every experience, try to learn from every experience. There's no bad experiences, right? There's just experiences, and you know, now you have that experience, and that's awesome, right? Right. So you don't have to really like. Don't worry. That experience is a great experience, right? Now you have that point in your head. Tomorrow is going to be a different one. So don't worry too much, right? There's no bad experiences, right? Numinix, my friend. When do you want to join the stream again? And do you have something interesting to talk about, Numinix? I want to have you as a guest on the stream soon. Do you have anything interesting to share with us? Maybe next time I stream we can do it. Sorry, I just need to. I have OCD, so I can't have this done like that. You can just select all text on all lines and hit Shift plus Tab to remove all these spaces. All right, let's see that. Wow, that's amazing. I love you, man. Thank you. That's an awesome tip. Jesus Christ, man. Wow, that's cool. Thanks, man. That is awesome. That is awesome, dude. I gotta. Nice, man. I mean, the thing is, I think you guys are putting energy in a different place, right? Again, just be careful where you put your energy, right? Whenever you are, the thing is, like, it's pointless putting energy at places that you can't affect, right? So if you know that, so let's imagine you're talking about salary. If you know that you can't affect it, then don't put your energy there. There's no, be proactive instead of reactive, right? So in a sense, That's why this stream, for example, I'm not a typical streamer. Most of the content on the internet is some dramatical bullshit. Or somebody got fired, or somebody's bitching about something. There's no point in that. We need to be pragmatic and realistic, right? So, you know, any of us might be working in a good or a bad company, whatever good and bad might mean, right? We need definitions for things, right? But just focus on things you can gain and not the things you're losing, because fundamentally you're going to always gain and lose something no matter where you are, right? So salary is shitty, fuck it. Develop yourself and find another job. Salary is still shitty, develop yourself further. So don't dramatize, don't complicate things for yourself, right? It's not going to help unless you can change it. If you can't change it, right? If you can't change things, then don't spend your energy there, because it's like when I was younger, when I was a junior myself, you would go to beers with friends, and we all bitch like little assholes, right? How this, how that, this is fair, this is not fair. This, like, nobody gives a shit about, man, if things is fair. Things are not fair, man. Life is not fair. So you focus your energy on things that you can change, and in many and most cases in your life, the only thing you can change is yourself, meaning, how the hell can I go to work and learn as much as I can? Well, Leo, that's your problem, man. That's not that is 100% your problem, because I have to be real. If you are better than what you're getting paid for, find a better job, right? So we have to be realistic here. This is not, there's no charity, right? Every single company on the planet will pay you as less as possible if they can. My company where I work, if they could, they would pay me less, right? They don't, because they probably know that I would quit and find another job, because they know that I can find another job. If your employee sees that you can't find another job, they will exploit you. And this is in Denmark, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, you name it. This is uniform. There's no like Robin Hood giving free money. Let's not deceive ourselves. There's no like, oh, like what the fuck are we talking? Let's grow up a bit, right? I know. Don't take me wrong. No. Jack, I'm absolutely with you, man. I know it's not as easy for everybody. I'm not saying that, right? So I'm not saying that everybody has the same level of access to work. But if you can't, that's where you are, and focus your energy on things that you can learn, things you can affect, not things that are out of your reach, right? And that is just how it is, right? It's basic economy, basic logic. There's no free meals. There's no fairness in life. There's no, why is this like that? Or why, who cares, man? We are all very competitive, and let's not act like we're some sort of majestic beings full of empathy. We are not, man. We all care about our own assholes, and that's just the fact. Well, once you truly internalize that, then things start going in a very positive direction in life, which is okay. Right? And that's it. And capitalism can be like this, like that. It's still the best system we had. There's still no better system. So is it perfect? No. Does it suck for many? Yes. But what is the alternative, right? It's easy to point out problems, but how about we come with solutions, right? It's easy to say what things that they don't work, but that's pointless. We all know that some things don't work. So how do you fix them, right? That is the question. So focus on things you can affect, and that's it, right? There's no other way. There's no other way. Everything else is just you wasting your life, your time on things that my boss is shitty. What can you do? What can you do? Can you make him less shitty? No. Then what? Then what, right? All right, so this is basically, this is where we got Revaz, my friend. Good evening. Soligar, good evening, buddy. Yeah, not many people are watching on YouTube. YouTube discovery is really bad. I think YouTube doesn't want to put effort into into live streaming, because they probably know there's very little money there. I mean, I'm sure that YouTube could kill Twitch easily, even though Twitch is already dead there, never made any money. But I think YouTube doesn't really care about live. I think they're now investing money into YouTube Shorts and stuff like that, right? Definitely, man. I think I have some YouTube videos for that. Let me try to find them. I mean, I record these random YouTube videos whenever I have the time. So give me a second. I have a bunch of pretty good videos, I think, on that subject. Yeah, I think this is the video. If you have a... This is exactly what I'm talking about. Just to not repeat myself. So if you have 6 minutes eventually, if you want, I mean, it's up to you. I gain nothing if you watch it or not. But I think I talk a lot about these perceptions of things, right? About proactiveness, not reactiveness, about doing instead of suggesting and bitching about things, right? Because everybody bitch about things, you know. Like this new generation is just just bunch of like people who complain about everything, right? But when it comes to doing something about it, that's where most people become silent, right? Why is this like this? Why is this like that? It's almost like there's this implicit feeling always that somebody else is going to do it for us, right? I hate that. And I would not want to work with people like that ever in my life. I would not hire people like that in my team because I don't need people who complain. I need people who find the issue, say, shit, this is bad, and then they do something about it. And my team, in fact, is exactly like that, and I love them so much. Man. Super nice people and very, very proactive. I work as a tech lead, but I almost don't do anything with them. I'm just there to support them, but they do amazing stuff. Actually, probably even more amazing than I do, because they realize these basic things, right? Oh, this is bad. This piece of code is bad. They fix it silently. Create a PR, we merge it, we move on. No infinite discussions and PRs, no bullshit. Just fluid reviews and just continuous deployment and development. Just amazing. Solocar, thank you very much, man. I actually even forgot that I recorded that. Yeah, Redux flux pattern is pretty cool. No, I mean, of course we do talk about the code, but I have a video as well on that. Like for the way that I create culture of code reviews is very different, right? If you have something to discuss that takes more than 2 or 3 comments, you take that off code reviews. You either sit together. I love working from the office. My whole team is fully in the office. So, and we are all sitting next to each other. So if there's disagreement, not disagreement, it's rather if there's different opinions, we sit together and we solve it. Unless it's a tiny thing, right? So I don't promote a culture of endlessly writing comments on GitHub PR because that's a huge waste of time. It creates friction. People often will go home feeling bad. Why? Because chat like that is not a great way to express feelings, emotions. It's easy to misinterpret people. So if you have some disagreement, jump on a call if you're remote or sit together, solve it in 3 seconds and move on. So of course we do, but unless, so if the discussion becomes long, or if you see that it's something that it's hard to describe through a comment, you don't write a comment. You say, hey, Alex, can we talk about this change? Yeah, man, let's sit together. Or let's jump on a call, right? Of course, this is not... of course, man, of course. Additionally, what we also do, at least for the user interface types of changes, there's always either a set of screenshots or a short video that we add so a person can visualize things that before they start reviewing it. Because reviewing JSX, HTML, CSS, that's impossible for a human a human brain cannot read a set of Tailwind classes and produce the visual output on the screen, right? So there's these are the modern things, if I may, that I introduced in my team, and they work flawlessly. It's people don't waste time on code reviews. We can suggest things, or we focus on functionality. We don't focus on style, because style is sorted by the tooling, by prettier, by formatters, by whatever. So we just focus on patterns oftentimes and functionality, right? Of course, exactly. Absolutely, I will do that. I will do that, Sologar. Give me like a couple of minutes. I haven't done anything this stream, and the time is passing by. I just wanna. So I really enjoy this chat, but I need to be careful that because the nature of the streaming, and I'm not a typical streamer. I don't stream much, you know. So oftentimes I will get disincentivized a bit to stream at all, because while I enjoy these discussions more than anything, I also need to make sure that I do something that fulfills me as well in a different way, right? So give me, I need to at least solve this, and then we chat more, right? Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. That's why people do wonders when they work together, when they sit together. There's never going to be a video platform, a chat platform that's going to replace a real humans sitting together and doing great things. Never. They can invent virtual reality, all the bullshit, but when you sit together with your friend, hey dude, let's make a coffee in the kitchen, let's grab a snack and let's just discuss this, that is fundamentally different feeling already, and you haven't even started doing it. What the fuck? Oh, okay. It's because I'm on Programmer Network account. Shit. Give me a second. All right. So we got this far last night. All right, so let me actually chat back with this fella as well. The Postgres now, when I try to PSQL into Postgres, it's now asking me for a password. But I don't know what the default password is and where it was set. By default, Postgres requires you to set up a password. But in the cloud native PGM definition, no password might have been configured. Hence, you didn't specify one when you created the Postgres cluster. Let's fix that. Ah, interesting. So this is a command I never ran. kubectl get secrets and PostgresDB. Then we have the app, server, application, a page. Okay. Ah, interesting. Ooh, wow. That is cool. Ah, wait a minute. So it's this one. Cope, good evening, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you for coming, man. I appreciate that very much. Namespace PostgresDB. I suppose. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Wait, what? So base64 decoded correct. I would expect that to be. But how come that there's actually no password? Give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to be smart here. App secret. Yeah, are you sure though? Are you sure? Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like this, you mean this one? Yeah, let's try. I mean, what can we lose? There's nothing we can lose, right? Yeah, okay. But is this really our password? Is this the decoded password? It doesn't look base64 decoded to me. I don't think this is decoded, but let's take a look at that. Let's port forward, right? So we port forward, we go to my local host, like to my current host, and we paste this. Nah. Yeah, I mean, that definitely doesn't look decoded, right? This definitely looks encoded, right? JSON path data password, pipe base64 decode. Let's port forward again. Oh. Okay, let me read. It's okay. It's okay. I don't want to use any aliases. So just FYI, localhost, because you haven't been here from the start, I don't want to use anything. I want to manually write. I don't want to use Helm. I don't want to use any abstractions. I want to write these commands fully until I fully understand them and remember them. Once I do that, I will naturally alias them. I will start using a package manager. So for now, until I stop sucking at Kubernetes, I will continue doing things manually. Because I cannot abstract something that I don't understand, because then I don't understand it even more, right? So it's fine. But great suggestion, but it's okay. It's very important for me to actually understand things, really, to internalize them. Not to say that I understand them. That's not sufficient. I need to feel that I'm comfortable. I start the stream and I'm like, shit, works, right? So once I start feeling that flow, then I'm going to naturally be saying, man, I keep repeating this kube control every time, or I keep doing this repetitive thing. Let me try to fix that with package manager. So when the real need occurs, by emotion, by feeling, I will optimize, not upfront. I don't feel right now that I need any optimizations because I suck fully. Fuck, man, but which password then should it be? Which password then do we need? Yeah, that's a bit crappy. I have no idea, actually. Oh, fuck, I'm in the wrong directory. That's why. Also, shit. It actually doesn't matter. All right, so what was it? Come on. So let's try the server thing, right? Yeah. My Postgres cluster server. Nah, so I think Kobe was right. The only place that I get the password, but it's saying opaque, right? At least Robot is telling me, hey Alex, you know, that's the password you want. But there's no such thing, right? That's the problem, right? List all the secrets in the namespace, right? Where the Postgres cluster was deployed. Correct? Okay, I get that. You'll likely see entry like this. Extract the password. Look at the type column, server and replication. Yeah, this is exactly, so it's definitely not this, right? So it has to be the app, like you said, right? So it has to be this, right? So you're right, this is the password. It's just why is this not working? Why is this password? Did I copy it? Yeah, I did. Okay. So it is copied, right? So let's port forward here. psql password authentication failed. Yeah, and this is the password. So I don't get it actually. Yeah, I've actually tried without it as well. So let's try. Yeah, you're actually right. I initially tried without it, right? It didn't work. It's the same thing. Yeah, actually I didn't, right? So you can see what I'm copying now. So this is what I copy, right? So this is what we have. So let's make sure. So, right? No empty spaces, nothing. Nope. Super weird. All right, let me try one thing. Let me try to use the Postgres client here. So let's try to create a new database, right? We're going to say, let's bear with me. Postgres password connect. Password authentication failed for user Postgres. Check the username from the secret. Very good point. Yeah, let's try that. So I suppose JSON path, I suppose, is going to be username, right? Oh, it's the app. Ah, that's a good point. Let's try that. Connection refused. Of course, it's refused because we're not port forwarding anymore. All right, now it works. So now it works. Here we are. So thank you very much, Rocky. Rocky Balboa, sorry. That was my first. So yeah, you're right. So, okay. Check. I learned something new. Awesome. Great. Super. So now, as you can see, we are in fact connected to that specific thing, and it works. We can actually try. Let's actually go here to this thing. Let's create a table or something in there, and let's see what happens. So let me close this. Let me just drag this so you can see. So let's say new query. So I'm going to create a new query, and I'm going to create a new table called cars. Great, it managed, and I'm going to insert a couple of cars. There we go. And then I'm going to select the cars, and actually here they are. Let's take a look at our Longhorn logs. I would suspect to see some logs now somewhere, I guess. So here we have the volumes. We have some volumes here. Do we have any logs? Event log? No, not here. Actually, no, we're not actually running any app. I'm sorry. This is just now Postgres running. So actually, never mind, because this has nothing to do with that per se. Okay, so now if I go to this list of things, okay, never mind. I wanted to just see some logs. So yeah, so that's great, guys. That's great. Okay, so that is great, but. There's few things here that I really dislike. But yeah, but. So what I dislike actually here is that the way that I installed the Cloud Native PG operator is that I really wish that this is a YAML file. So I wish that we can have our own, like this is a base and we have, like, what was it called? Overlays or something. Because where the hell am I? So I want to pass it the password and username and stuff, of course, through env, right? Furthermore, I mean, of course, right? So I suppose something inside of this YAML file, right, is generating a username and password and stuff like that, right? So if we go to Cloud Native here, documentation, Postgres configuration. No, but that's not what I want. That's different. That's something different, right? So I suppose here, I can only imagine that once we have deployed the Postgres cluster, maybe we were supposed to provide some environmental variables here. I'm not quite sure. That's what I would expect, right? Let's try to find API reference examples. Basics, yeah, basics. Custom cluster. A basic cluster that uses the default storage class and custom parameters. Interesting. Yeah, so this is what we've just done, right? To access through TCP IP, you will need to get username and password from the secret cluster. So that's what we've done now with that running that command and then decoding it using base64. Right? So I wonder though, cluster with persistent volume claim, that's what we already did. We did create we used the Longhorns PCV, right? Sample cluster with customized PG-HBA. Yeah, no. Backups. It's kind of funny how they don't provide anywhere. Maybe it's not meant to be kind of done manually, but I have a hard time thinking that we can't change like the default database name from app to something else, right? That would be really silly. I don't want my database that I've just created. In fact, I don't even want it to create a database in the first place, right? Why would I want initialization, creation of a cluster to create a default database, right? I mean, maybe I don't even want that. Then I will make, that's what I would want at least. I would want then the applications that I provision. It's a bit silly, right? Like, we initialize a Postgres cluster. So we initialize the cluster, and that's great. We have Postgres running. But then I would expect, just to, please bear with me and then tell me if I'm thinking this straight. I think my expectation is realistic in that sense. So this is what I would expect, right? Let's just find some draw IO here. So this is what I would expect, right? Like, we install the PG native, what is it? Not controller, what is this thing called? Operator, right? So we install PG native operator. And then we set up a cluster, right? A PG cluster. And here, we want to do like HA, so it has a main and whatever. It has replicas, right? So you have 3 Postgres instances running, and then they're swapping between each other. Great, that's why we are doing this, right? But then when I create this cluster, that's really what I wanted to do, right? I don't want it to create databases. When I want to create a database in the same way, so when we provision PCV, persistent claim volumes, and when we create storage classes, right? You use, let's say, storage class Longhorn, you create a PCV, and then when you're deploying a pod, eventually, you're saying in the pod, I want this much space from this, volume, or bind me to a certain volume. So I would also expect now here to say, well, actually, yeah, so here I can't say create a database because that would make no sense, right? So it's true that it would be illogical completely. but also it's not logical here. So we would have to have some sort of a YAML where we define a creation of a database for that given application that I'm going to use. So I would expect basically somewhere, now that I define some declarative, I have some YAML file where I define a database that I want to create, with credentials, user access, whatever. So this is what I expect based on the current declarative form that we've learned, right? Because it would make total sense. So now I have a YAML that defines, okay, now we have some PG cluster running so that the Postgres is running, and that's great. So yeah, creating a default doesn't make sense. Let me say what core wrote. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Using the convention over configuration approach, the operator creates a database called lab by default owned by a regular Postgres user with the same name. You can specify both the database name and the username if required. But so my main question is, can we not specify this at all? Like, can we not create any database when cluster is created, right? Because why would I do that, right? Because we're gonna have, if this cluster ends up serving the purpose that we think that it will, each of our applications is going to, of course, use a different database. So eventual outcome of this series of our streams is that I want to provision a service, a database, and a volume, right? I define these declarative files, done. Of course, a service as well, CNAME or whatever, some DNS record, blah, 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 right? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, we don't really need to create, because what am I going to use the app for, right? So the question now would be, what is this app for, right? I'm not going to just start putting all the tables in the same database, right? For different applications. That would make no sense. So if we're building a to-do app, right? We're probably going to have a database here called to-do, right? To do whatever, something like that, right? So that's why I'm saying, Postgres, this default guy has to exist. I think actually it's a must, because they store some configuration or whatever. I don't remember. But this doesn't really. But okay, I'm just thinking out loud, basically. So let's have a chat with OpenAI, and let me just tell this to an OpenAI, and then when our PG cluster is created, why are we creating a default database? For example, I would expect that the cluster creation just sets up the Postgres, and then I can create provision databases, I don't know, during creation, provisioning of new resources. In the same way I create a PVC or similar. I just need to understand why. Is there something? You're absolutely correct in expecting that a Postgres cluster should typically just create a database server with a super user, leaving the responsibility of creating additional databases to the user or some other program as part of the post-provisioning. In cloud-native PG, the creation of default database app is the default behavior, but it can be modified or disabled entirely if it's unnecessary for your use case. Let me explain why the default app database gets created and how you can manage or disable it. Why does a default app database gets created? Cloud native by default ensures that a default database is provisioned on cluster creation. This is the default configuration intended for people who want quick and working Postgres deployment, where the database is up and running and ready for application level connections. If you don't specify anything, it's essentially a convenience feature to get going immediately. However, if you're in a scenario where you want to manage databases more explicitly, provision them later on, yes, that's what I want, you can disable the creation of the app database specifically with the databases you like, and I will disable that, yes. Because again, keep in mind, for me, for me, what I'm creating here, like this infrastructure we're creating, is like, it's almost like I'm creating my own managed solution, right? So the outcome of all of these things for me have to be kind of generic, not in a literal sense, but it's like, for me, this system is something that enables me to be like, to not think about drives and databases and CPUs and stuff, right? You're just like, hey, give me this much of this many of this much of that. I define a file, I'm like, apply, and it works. So I don't want to create these like half-baked things randomly. I get that this is convenient, so I'm not judging them. I get that it's like, hey, okay, when you set up the PG thing, just create something so people can try it out, right? But I mean, you would not use this database now for your own application because it's called app, right? I mean, that cannot be more generic than that, right? So somebody opens a database here and is like, oh, app database. Yeah, I completely know what this is. It makes total sense. Of course, there's like 17 other databases here, but I know what the app is, right? So that's my problem, right? How to prevent automatic creation of the app database. Yeah, I mean, so look, I'm sure that these people who build this are way smarter than I am, like probably several times. So I'm not trying to put anyone down. It's just I would expect the absolute, I would not expect that from system like this, system that is literally made to enable you to, because it would be the same, bear with me. Then you could ask, well, why Longhorn is not creating default volumes by default? Why are they not setting up whatever? Why is some other thing not creating this by default? Because in that case, you come here and it's like, what is volume X with a 5 gigs of space? Like, it's like you would be like, why does this exist, right? Well, no, you come here and there's no volumes. You have to provision them, right? So that would be the counter argument, right? Exactly. So basically, if we go to our current initialization thing, so if we go to Postgres, I think this is how we've created our Postgres thing, right? So fundamentally, as we can see here, we have the specs and blah, blah, blah. But you can see that we can pass this bootstrap thing where we actually pass the database name. Give me 1 second. My wife and kid are calling me. Let me just kiss my kid for a second. Be right back. 1 moment. Fellas. Okay, fellas, I need to go offline for a little bit. My son is crying. He wants me to put him to sleep with my wife. So, of course, he is more important to me than the stream. So I need to do that. But most likely I will be back in maybe half an hour. I can't promise 100%, but I think I will. I'm sorry for that. It's just he's telling me now, you promise that you're gonna put me to sleep. So I don't wanna lie to him. I don't want him to think that I bullshit him. So I'll just do that. But let's continue this. How long have I streamed? Yeah, I mean, there's an hour more that I should stream. I'll be back in 30 minutes or so, and then we continue if you guys are around. So I'll see you guys very soon. And thank you very much for being here. Okay, see you in 30.